Hello everyone, how are you? My name's Christine. I'm known on the internet as Yarn About Yarn, here on YouTube, Ravelry, Etsy, Facebook, Instagram, and in my Made It store. So all the links will be down below. And yeah, welcome. I am still not over my cold or whatever it was. All the tests came back negative, so who knows, just some virus. So you'll have to excuse the sound of my voice. I'm still a bit nasally and I still have these coughing fits. So we'll just have to see how I go. But I've just got, you can see, I have a pile of FOs. So it's only June 14th. But I thought I wanted to get on and talk about these. Otherwise, if I wait till the end of the month, it'll just be a massively long video. So I hope everyone's been well, and warm welcome to all my new subscribers. I've had, 12 new subscribers in the last couple of weeks. So thank you. And I hope you stick around and enjoy what I've got to offer, and leave me a comment. Let me know how you found me and where you're watching from. My analytics still say that I have a lot of viewers from India. So that's quite surprising. I thought most of my viewers might be from the US and Australia, but there we go. Okay, so, I better tell you what I'm wearing. This is the Comfort Fade Cardi, which is an Andrea Mowry pattern, and I made it way back in 2018, excuse me, and it's from Skein Yarn Voyage DK, and there's 4 different colours, which I have written down. So there's Graphite, which is this colour here, Lily Pond, Carnival, and Ghost. It's the final sort of speckledy colour. So yeah, when I made this, I think I just made it to pattern, and then after blocking it, when I tried on the sleeves, were just way too long. They grew a lot. I don't tend to swatch. I swatch when I'm designing, but I don't tend to swatch when I'm knitting a pattern, because my gauge is fairly standard. But what I didn't take into account was the yarn, which is 100% merino. So I don't know whether it's superwash or not, but yeah, it just grew a lot. So what I ended up doing with this, instead of tinking back, I actually cut the cuffs off, ripped back some of the sleeve, and then kitchened the cuff back on. I don't know whether, from memory, I don't know how, it worked, but I don't know whether it would have been just as quick to, undo the cast off and pull it back. But anyway, yeah, that's what I did with that one. So getting back to my FOs, just have a sip of my coffee. I think I showed you the Cozy Izzy dolls that I finished at the end of last month. I'm not sure, but I have 3 of those. The pattern I used for these was the, I think it was just called Cozy Izzy Dolls, and then there's a Pretty Izzy doll from Esther Braithwaite. So that's what they're looking like. Oh, we're having trouble focusing here. So there's a little girl and a little boy. And then there's also other patterns that you can get. These are a free pattern. There's also another pattern you can get, which is for the animals. But I mean, just looking at how it was constructed, it's constructed exactly the same, but just looking at where the colours changed, I didn't get the pattern. I just did that one. So I've got 3 of those. The other thing that I made was what's called a braided ball. This was really fascinating. There's nothing in the middle of that ball, and it's it is a free pattern. It's just called Braided Ball. It's from Marlene Hartog, and I've knit this one in the Bendigo Woolen Mills 8-ply. You can use any ply yarn you want, any weight yarn you want. And it's just constructed of strips of stocking stitch. and then it's how it's all put together. So you just knit the strips of stocking stitch and it's all sort of woven together, and then you sew the ends up. So that was quite easy. The other thing I finally finished was my Cozy Comfort Throw by Homespun House, and I'll just grab that and show you. Okay, I've just changed how I was filming. I'm filming on my phone, and I was just thinking the background just looks so cluttered, so someone told me to film in cinematic view. So I thought I'd try that, where it slightly blurs the background, but then it's sort of having trouble with the focal length and focusing on what I'm trying to show you. So I've just gone back to normal video, and hopefully the background is not too distracting. But if you're anything like me, I'm actually a bit of a sticky beak, and I like to have a look at what people have got on their shelves behind them, or if they're sitting in front of a bookcase, I sort of zoom in to see what sort of books they're reading. So yeah, see how we go with that background. I think it is a bit cluttered and distracting, but it's what we're dealing with today. Anyway, I finished my Cozy Comfort Throw by Homespun House. I think I've talked about this before. It is a paid pattern, and it's around $9 Australian. In my opinion, you don't need to buy the pattern, but I did. But as you can see, it's just a big, cozy garter stitch blanket with an I-cord edge all the way around. Now this one I knit using, it's holding 2 fingering weights together, and I just used a cone of bare sock yarn from Nundle Woolen Mills here in Australia, and then just used an advent calendar, which I think was from Drover and Classer a number of years ago. Like, I started this a long time ago. It's just so soft and squishy. It's about my wingspan. Just a great size, like, lap blanket when you're sitting watching telly. So finally got that done. It's a really great way too to use up some of your scraps, and I do have quite a number of 4-ply scraps, fingering weight scraps. So it even crossed my mind whether to make another one of these. But the rows are quite long. Like, that's the cast on. So, you know, there's a few hundred stitches there, and then you're just knitting backwards and forwards. So I thought maybe I would do another one, but not for a while. And then this week, I think it was this week, Stephen West brought out his new Marled Mania blanket pattern. And he has, you know, there's a whole Marled Mania. I think there's a shawl and a jumper and a dress. And, well, now he's brought out the blanket, which you can see I've bought the pattern, which is modular and has a number. So there you can see how it's constructed, and they're all numbered. So starting down here at number 1, you knit that shape, and then you build off that with number 2, and so on, up until 28. Finishes up here. So this could actually be used for, like, colour scheme planning, I guess. The blanket is a number of different stitches. So there is eyelets, there's garter stitch, seed stitch, and brioche. So I'm thinking it would be interesting to knit. It's the same sort of concept as this, holding 2 fingering weight yarns together. With this one, because I had that bare yarn going all the way through, that's quite a bit of that bare yarn I would have to buy if I wanted to do the same sort of thing again. So with the Marled Mania, you just marl scraps together. It's DK weight, so 2 fingering weight yarns together, and then you can always throw in some mohair or something as well, which I do have leftovers of. So I'm thinking that might be my new scrappy leftover project. So yeah, so 3 easy dolls, braided ball, my comfort throw. Next up, I finished the Aran garter stitch cardigan, which is this one here that I was knitting in the Noro. It actually needs a wash. I'm not sure where I got this yarn from, but it smells a bit musty. I've given it a steam block just to check the size. This was made out of Noro Teo, which is an Aran weight, and I used just under 5 skeins for that. So yeah, I'm really happy with that, but I don't want to wear it yet until I can block it. And the weather here, like, we have had a week of sunshine, but to get something as thick as this dry, I don't know. So I've sort of held off blocking that. And then that was just a, oops, where is it? There's one buttonhole with a button that I just found that in my button stash. But yeah, I'm quite happy with that. Sort of similar to this, sort of, in colours. And it's actually how I was thinking of wearing it, just with a white t-shirt and jeans. So yeah, that's the Aran Garter Stitch cardigan by Audrey Wilson. All of these projects are in my Ravelry project page. So if you want to check out the yarns I've used, how much yarn, what size I've done, those sort of things, it'll all be there. That pattern is a paid for pattern. It was just under $9 Australian. And like I said, I used just, say, 5 skeins of the Teo. There's only one size in this pattern, but as you can see, there is quite a bit of ease. So, you know, depending on the size that you need, I think it would fit a reasonable number of sizes. Okay, the next thing I finished was my Lycoris, which is a spring summery knit. I haven't written down any details for this. This is my own pattern, hasn't been blocked. I made it in, let me just check. I think it's a merino silk. Here we go. Yes, West Yorkshire Spinners Exquisite Fall Ply in the colour Regal, and it is an 80% Falkland and a 20% Bombyx, which is silk. So 80-20 wool silk in this really dark, rich blue colour. So, as I said, it hasn't been blocked. It's sort of got this Estonian lace pattern at the top. And yeah, it's one that I designed a couple of years ago. A lot of this sort of puckering here will block out. With this Estonian lace sort of pattern, there are some sudden increases and decreases, like you go from 3 stitches to 7 stitches within this pattern, which is what causes this sort of puckering you can see there, which will, as I said, will block out. But because of that, I'd be careful about what size you choose. Don't choose your full bust size. I'd probably go for like a high bust. Yeah, so that's that one. And then the last one I finished is the Step by Step sweater by Florence Miller. And this one I did in Noro Silk Garden Solo in colour number 1. So it's just a basic raglan. What I did with this one, I actually made it a bit longer. It's quite a cropped pattern, so I made it a little bit longer. The sleeves, I did some rapid decreasing. I think I took out about 20 stitches when I got to the cuffs. So yeah, this one sheds like anything. But I think it's just going to be one of those cozy. It's a little bit, not scratchy, but I can feel it. I'll just see what the composition of this one is. I think it's a mohair. Where are we? Yeah, 45% mohair, 45% silk and 10% wool. But the colour is just lovely, and I think it's going to be a nice, warm, cozy sweater. So it also hasn't been blocked. I'll probably just give this one a steam block so I can start wearing it. And then I'll give it a wash at the end of the season. So that's what I've been up to. I've been working on my Kumo. I nearly finished the body. I'm just up to the ribbing at the bottom. So I've just got the 2 sleeves to do on that. So that shouldn't be too far off. And I've been working on my Melody sweater, which is the bottom up, and I'm up to the lace around the yoke. So I'm going to be starting to decrease soon. So that one won't be too far off being finished also. What else have I been up to? I've been doing a little bit of sewing. I've really got into like that whole Japanese borrow because of that jacket that I want to knit. Even though I've got a lot of knitting done, I haven't sort of had the brain space to tackle that one yet. And I'm really on a roll with getting some of these older whips finished. So as you can imagine, my whip wall is looking not bare, but there are a few spaces now. So I'm not sure when I'm going to start that borrow jacket. But in the meantime, I've been looking at sewing patterns. And when I had the market a couple of weeks ago, the art and craft exhibition show, a lady that was there, one of the customers, was wearing this beautiful jacket, a vest that she had made, and it was all sashiko stitched. And a friend of mine told me what the pattern was, and it's from Be Bold, which is actually a local designer to me. Where I can find the full pattern. Here we go. So it's the Boro inspired reversible vest. So that's it here. So I've got the pattern and I've actually started piecing it together. So it's done in pieces. It's a sewing pattern. So there's, the 2 fronts, the back, and the stand-up collar, and it will be reversible. So the fabric on the inside is this. They're all Japanese fabrics. It's this beautiful flower print. And then I have a mixture of smaller Japanese fabrics that I'm using for the other side. And then it's all sashiko stitched over the top. So this is one of the pieces I've done. This is one of the fronts. So you can see that's the inside. And then this is the other side where I've just sort of tacked on the pieces at the moment. And then when it's stitched, it will look like, I've only got the collar that I've stitched at the moment. It will look like this. So that's the inside and that'll be the outside. Yeah, so I've been working on that when I haven't felt like knitting, and just for something a bit different to do. So that is my sewing project. I don't think I've got any acquisitions this last week, which is good. I do have some yarn coming. Bendigo Woolen Mills announced that they're doing a mohair silk. So I have ordered some of that, probably to do one of the petite knit patterns. I think is it the Cumulus, where you hold 2 mohairs together. So that should be coming next week, I think. So I'll show you that when it arrives. But other than that, plenty of knitting, which is fantastic. Anyway, I will leave it here. I can feel my voice is starting to get a bit weaker, and I'll chat to you soon. Well, it's Monday the 30th of June and I still haven't got this video up or finished, so I'm going to try and get that done today. We have had another rainy weekend and it's horrible and rainy today, so I've got the light on. But anyway, we're here. So, as I said in the last little clip, I had ordered some of the new Bendigo Woolen Mills silk mohair, and that arrived. It's called Lilt, and I got it in this colour, which is called Marine. And it's just a 70% mohair, 30% silk. It's quite soft. Not as soft as the Rowan Kid Silk Haze, which is my favourite. Excuse me, you can still hear it in my voice. I'm still not 100%, I'm probably 95%, but I have this persistent cough, which is really annoying. And the core of this is almost white, which I'm guessing is the silk that doesn't take the colour. But yeah, that's lovely. So that's just going in stash at the moment, but it will be, like I said, one of those petite knit patterns. I did have another FO for this month, and that is my Melody sweater. I'm so glad to get this off the needles. I love the colour. I just didn't enjoy the knit. So it hasn't been blocked, so hopefully it will relax a bit. You can see it's got the lace hem and the lace cuff and the lace around the yoke. So yeah, that will all relax when it's blocked. That's called the Melody sweater, and it's by Claudia Quintanilla. So that was done with holding Holstgarn Super Soft in the colour Tyrian, together with the Rowan Kid Silk Haze in Purplicious. So yeah, I'm really glad that's off the needles and done. The other thing I finished was a weaving project. I did this one on my rigid heddle loom. I just wanted something quick. So the rigid heddle is really quick to warp up. It's like, you know, an hour to warp and then, yeah, a couple of hours to weave. So this one was done with one of those zebra yarns, and then a plain black, and then there's a little bit of mohair in there as well, and there's an alpaca silk. So it's mostly wool with a little bit of mohair, a little bit of alpaca, and a little bit of silk. So that one is done, and it'll be up in my Made It store once I take some photos. So yeah, I think they're the only other two finished items since my last little clip. But you know, this month has been so great for getting things finished, so I'm really happy about that. Now, because I've got those things finished, I have started some new things. I've spoken before about the Colour Play Mohair Wrap, which is by, I've got it written down, Church Mouse Yarns and Tea. This is what I decided this would be my travel project. I'm going away next, well, just over a month's time, and I'll be away for about 5 weeks. But I didn't want to take a bulky project. I didn't want to take a jumper, a sweater. So I've decided on this mohair project. It's just a long mohair wrap, but I wanted to get it started before I went. And I'm glad I did, because I've cast on and I'm using my metal ChiaoGoo needles, and it's just really slippery. I don't know how many times I've lost stitches. So I'm showing you the wrong side. So I've actually ordered some bamboo ChiaoGoos, and I'll pop it on that. But it's basically just a mohair wrap with a moss stitch border along top and bottom and along the sides to stop the stocking stitch from curling. So yeah, that is done. There are 8 different shades of the Rowan Kid Silk Haze, and you make this by holding 2 together. So they're the 2 I'm using at the moment. When it arrived, I thought, oh, that one is quite bright, but it's actually making a really lovely colour. So what I'll be doing is, say this is A, this is B, and so on. I'm doing A, B together, then it'll be B and B, then B, C, CC, CD, and so on. So we'll go through all the colours from the blue, and then eventually it'll be green at the other end. So I'm not sure how much of that I will get done while I'm away. When I do long haul flights, I do take some knitting, but I tend not to do it. But I like to have it there just in case. So that's what I'm taking. I figure the mohair's nice and light. It's not going to add a lot of weight to my bags, and it can also compress down and not take up too much space. So I'll probably get onto the second colour, and then I'll put that away until I go. So yeah, that's the mohair wrap. The other thing I started on my Make 9 this year, which I haven't done a lot on, I do have some yarn. I have projects that I want to get done. I also have yarn that I want to use. And one of the yarns is one that I picked up at the Australian Sheep and Wool Show in Bendigo. And it was either my first time I went to the show or my second time. So 2017, 2018. And it's this, sorry for the noise. It's this beautiful yarn from Oyster Yarns, and it's their Maven DK in the colour Dionysia, which I think is a flower. It's a 60% merino, 20% silk, 20% yak. So it's absolutely gorgeous. And I have tried a couple of times to make this into something. I can't remember what the first pattern was, but it just wasn't working out. I ripped that out and I started something else, which was working and it looked beautiful, but it had quite a high neck, which I don't like wearing. So I ended up ripping that out. So I've actually started another project, which wasn't even on my radar, and I don't know how I found it. But yeah, between talking to you in that last little clip, which I think was mid-month, and now, I have found this project cast on, and I'm probably 90% done. So it's the V-neck cocky, I don't know how to pronounce it. Apparently it's the Japanese word for vest, and it's by Noriko Ichikawa. And I'll show you how much I've got done. I've actually got all the body done and one of the bands, armhole bands, and then I've started the second armhole band. So this is where we're at. It's a bit difficult to see, but yeah, so I've made really good progress on that. It does have, I think they're Italian sewn bind offs, but I'm just binding off in pattern. I'm quite happy with that. So hopefully that one will be done. This is what I'm knitting on in the evenings now, because I'm so close to getting it finished. And I really want to get something ticked off on my Make 9, which I've been a bit slack about. I've got a couple of bigger projects on there. So it'd be really good to get something done. So that's something I've cast on and have made good progress with. The other thing I ended up casting on was, I was talking about the Mild Magic blanket, except I kept calling it the Mild Mania. It's Mild Magic. I actually did cast that on, but I haven't made much progress. So I've picked these two of my leftovers. I'm not sure if they were leftovers from something or whether they were, I think that's a leftover. That one might be from an advent calendar. I'm not sure. But anyway, I've got a tub full of leftovers, mostly fingering weight, that I'll be using for this project. So this is the first part of that blanket, and I'm really happy with that. I'm just using the stitch markers to count. So yeah, so that started and basically put away, but I just needed to start it. I just wanted to see what that was like. Yeah, so that's done. The other thing that I haven't started yet, but I probably will be starting soon, is a petite knit pattern, and it's the April cardigan. I was actually thinking for when I go away, I wanted something, just a lightweight cardigan to put on. So I've got this Knit Picks, just grab one out of the plastic, that I've had for ages, and it's their Cotton, but it was a special color range they did, I think, called Reflections, and this one is don't know whether the range is called Eclipse Reflections or whether this color is called Eclipse Reflections, but it's just their 70% cotton, 30% linen, and I think I've got about 5 or 6 skeins in this dark blue, which is, yeah, one of my favorite colors, in case you haven't noticed. So I've actually caked a couple of those up, and at first I couldn't find a pattern I liked, just for a basic V-neck cardigan. So I did get my Barbara Walker top-down sweater book out, and I was going to just come up with my own pattern. And then I came across that petite knit one, and I thought, oh, I'll just buy the pattern. And I think that's why I couldn't find anything, so I was looking for a free pattern. Was going to do my own, but I figure I'll just do the petite knit, because we know that's going to work. And I did look in the projects, and people have made it out of cotton and linen and all sorts of things. It doesn't have to be wool. So that will probably get cast on soon, because I really would I think I'd like to take that with me, just as a little cotton cardigan to throw on. I'm not sure what the weather is going to be like where I'm going. It's quite hot there at the moment, but in another 5 weeks it might have cooled down a little bit. So I just wanted something to throw on. I'm not going to be talking too much about the trip, except to say that I am going away. Hopefully I'll get another video just before I go, and then the one after that might be a little bit late. But I will be popping up some video or some photos on Instagram, probably just in my stories. So yeah, keep an eye on that if you're interested. But I will probably speak to you in another month to let you know what I've got up to in July. And hopefully I would have finished the V-neck chockey, and I'm not sure. So I'll chat to you then. Take care, everyone. Bye.